Hello everyone, my name is Mohammad Momenian. I'm a research assistant professor at the Department of Chinese and Bilingual Studies at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. During this presentation, I'm going to give you a brief overview of what we're going to cover for the module Statistics and Research Methods for this semester. This will be an introductory module. I know that, there are a lot of statistical tests, but we're not going to cover all of them. We're just going to stick to the ones which are most relevant for the students of speech therapy and those statistical tests and concepts which are most popular in speech and hearing sciences. Also, our approach in this module is very practical in the sense that we're not going to talk about all those mathematical and statistical equations and formula. Rather, we're going to cover the most practical elements and elements which or points which enable you to do the analysis by yourself and get a basic grasp of how to do the analysis. Like any statistical course, this module consists of two components. In the first two or three sessions of this module, I'll cover descriptive statistics. I'll talk about concepts such as mean, median, variance, standard deviation, and all the concepts which are relevant in descriptive statistics. Uh, Descriptive statistics enables you to give a brief and succinct and clear summary of your data. It is very important for you to be able to do it in the right way before you engage into the inferential statistics. So in the second part of this module, I'll talk about inferential statistics. The second part of this module is a bit bulkier, where we talk about formal statistical tests, like how to analyze categorical data, how to analyze data from two groups, what happens if you have like three groups, all types of these questions will try to cover in inferential statistics. So when I say that the bulkier portion of this module is devoted to inferential statistics, that doesn't mean that descriptive statistics is not important. No, uh, indeed, it's very, very important uh, to do descriptive statistics in the right way. The software we're going to use during this module is Jamovi. I selected Jamovi for several reasons. It's a free and open statistical software. It's very, very interactive. It's based on R statistical language, which makes it very flexible. And at the same time, if later on you want to be able to work with R, this is a nice bridge. This is a very nice introduction to start with. And also, as I told you before, we're not going to focus on very much on the equation and the theoretical side of statistics. So Jamovi makes this module very, very practical. I'll be talking about how to install Jamovi. Uh, we will have another session on Jamovi, so for now I'm not going to talk about it so much. I just wanted you to know that this is the software we're going to use during this semester. Okay, this is the session by session plan. Uh, uh, Next session, I'll give you an introduction to Jamovi. We install Jamovi. Uh, we will make sure that you'll be able to navigate through Jamovi before we move on to the other sessions of this module. After you feel confident with Jamovi, we move on to the next session, which is about descriptive statistics, where we cover the basic concepts of descriptive statistics. And then in another session, we'll talk about graphs and how to create graphs in Jamovi, because I mean, trying to present your data with the nice graphs and pictures is very valuable. And then we'll move on to inferential statistics. But before we talk about the very formal tests, I'll talk about all the concepts that you need to know for any data analysis, because these are the fundamental concepts and building blocks of any statistical test. So you need to know them before we start talking about the tests themselves. And then we'll talk about a few tests. These are not all of the tests we have in statistics. There are dozens of tests, but these are the tests which I think are uh, the most useful ones in speech and hearing sciences and for the Master of Speech Therapy degree. So these are the tests we're going to focus on. So at this point, you might think that why my evil teacher is forcing me to learn statistics? Well, there are uh, several reasons why you need to learn statistics. I mean, you definitely need to learn statistics for your future career. If you want to be a speech and hearing pathologist, if you want to be a speech therapist, you need to know the basics of statistics. I mean, you want to make sure whether your interventions are working properly or not. You've been probably applying the same intervention for several years, for some time. So you might have some previous data on all your previous interventions, and then if you want to modify the intervention, or if you want to start or replicate the same intervention, sometimes you want to look at your previous data from the previous rounds of intervention, and that could give you a lot of insight and clues how to update your interventions. But also, you need to know about statistics for your studies in order to successfully finish your studies, because you're gonna do projects, you'll be reading, and you're reading right now a lot of research papers and reports. Without knowing anything about statistics, I don't really think that you get a lot out of those reports. That's why you need to know about descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. These type of statistics enable you to critically read all those reports and see whether you can apply their findings in your own context or setting. If so far any of these reasons cannot persuade you to start learning statistics, uh, I think that you agree with me that nowadays is the big data age. I mean, wherever you go, they're talking about data, and then you're kind of surrounded by big data. I mean, you have all these apps on your phone, you're connected to all these apps on your phone, so it's all data going through your phone in and out. So you need to have a basic understanding, I think, nowadays in the new world to be able to survive. So yeah, I think it's time for you to start thinking about, I mean, learning the basics of statistics. And I think wherever you want to go after your graduation, whether you want to be a practitioner, you want to have your clinic or start working in a clinic, or you just want to continue your studies, wherever you go, I think that most of people expect you to have a basic understanding of statistics. So this is kind of a prerequisite for your future job. So I kind of think that you need to kind of invest in a statistics a lot because you're gonna gain a lot out of it. Well, statistics is a big field, and I told you that we're not gonna cover from A to Z in statistics. We're just gonna cover the most relevant concepts in your field. But what do you need to know about a statistics? I mean, you definitely need to know when to use each statistical test, why each statistical procedure is used, and then most importantly, how to interpret the findings, how to interpret the results. These are the main objectives of this module. I mean, I kind of expect you uh, to know at the end of this module, I kind of expect you to to be able to answer these three questions: when to use each statistical test, why each statistical test is used, and how to interpret the results. And then what I want you to know is that you don't really have to be afraid of numbers and formulas. You don't have to be a statistician, or you don't need to have a solid math background. Indeed, I'm not a statistician. I just have a background in psycholinguistics and neurolinguistics. So that means that you can also learn a lot about statistics without being trained as a statistician. So you don't really need to worry about numbers and formulas because we're just going to focus on the statistical tool here. We're going to focus on the practical side. We're going to learn the concepts through Jamovi. And then uh, we're going to focus on the interpretations of the results. What I want you to do is just to practice a lot the things I say, go through the data, play with the data, do it several times with Jamovi because I don't really want you to do it in a uh, rote memorization way. What I want you to do is just to learn the concepts and try to apply the concepts to the data I give you, or try to, if you have your own data, you can play with your own data, and that helps you learn the things way better. The textbook for this module is Learning Statistics with Jamovi, a tutorial for psychology students and other beginners. It's an introductory coursebook by Navarro and Foxcroft. Is a recent uh, book, and it's open source book, so you don't need to buy it at all. You just go to the website I provided here, and you can download the book. So I try to follow the same book. So if you think that you need to have a book too, I mean, in addition to the presentations I give, if you think that you need to read a book, this is the book uh, you can download and read. If you're still looking for other useful books, you like to read more books to understand statistics, to learn about the statistics, I kind of provided the names of a few uh, books here, starting from the uh, least difficult to the most difficult, Field and Whole. This is the least difficult book if you want to start with, and then gradually the books get more difficult and more complicated. But I think that the book I introduced, with, which is the Jamovi book, it should be enough. But if you still wanted to learn more and to read more on the statistics, these are few of the books. And then you can also ask other people. They can also introduce some books to you. So yeah, that's it. Before we end this session on the introduction to the module, I like also to add a few disclaimers. First of all, I'm not a statistician by degree. I'm a psycholinguist who happens to be good at the statistics in his field too. Uh, Second, most of the photos I'm using during the presentations, I just downloaded them from the internet. So all the materials are only for internal use. So you're not allowed to distribute them because might be some of the photos I'm using might be subject to copyright. And well, yeah. And if you have any questions, feel free to write to me in my email address. My email address is always included in the first slide of each presentation. So if you have any questions or if you have any comments, please feel free to write to me and then that'll be great. Yeah. See you next session. Bye bye.